It was just another ordinary afternoon at a small, cozy bakery tucked into a quiet corner of an American town. The scent of freshly baked bread filled the air as customers lined up, chatting softly and waiting their turn. Among them stood a young boy, no older than 10, clutching a few crumpled dollars in his hand. Just ahead of him, a tired-looking woman fumbled through her purse, anxiety written all over her face when she realized she was short on money for a simple loaf of bread. Without hesitation, the boy stepped forward and offered to pay for it. She looked at him in disbelief, then smiled with tears in her eyes. Little did he know, this small act of kindness would spark something truly unexpected the very next day. The next morning, as the boy walked past the same bakery on his way to school, he noticed something different. Taped to the glass door was a handwritten sign that read, "To the kind young boy who paid for a stranger's bread, please come inside. We have something for you." Curious and a little nervous, he stepped inside. The baker, a gray-haired man with flour-dusted hands, smiled warmly and waved him over. "That woman you helped yesterday? She came back this morning," the baker said, placing a small brown bag on the counter. "She didn't leave her name, but she left this for you." Inside the bag was a note and something else, something that made the boy's eyes widen. He slowly unfolded the note. It read, "Your kindness reminded me that hope still exists in this world. Thank you. Please accept this gift as a small token of gratitude. You changed my day, maybe even my life." And beneath the note, nestled carefully in tissue paper, was something unexpected. Was a silver pendant shaped like a star, glinting faintly in the light. It was old but polished and clearly cared for. The boy held it gently in his hand, unsure of what to think. The baker leaned in, his voice softer now. "She said it belonged to someone important in her family. Said she hadn't given it to anyone in years. But she insisted you should have it." The boy nodded slowly, still processing the weight of the gesture. "Did she say anything else?" he asked. The baker shook his head. "Only that you reminded her of someone she lost, and that she might come back." That day, the boy wore the pendant under his shirt, close to his heart. He felt different, like something small in the world had shifted, even if he couldn't explain how. Over the next few days, he kept passing by the bakery, hoping to catch a glimpse of the woman again. But she didn't return. Then, one morning, just as he was about to give up, he found another note, this time slipped through the crack in the door. It simply said, "You don't know it yet, but you've set something in motion. Thank you. We'll meet again." And beneath it, there was no name, just the drawing of a tiny star. Days turned into weeks. The boy, whose name was Eli, kept the pendant with him at all times. He didn't tell anyone about it. Not his parents, not his friends. It felt like a secret, a quiet promise between him and a stranger he might never see again. But the feeling never left him, that something was unfolding, just out of sight. One afternoon after school, Eli returned to the bakery like he often did. The baker greeted him as usual, but this time he seemed different. He was holding a small, weathered envelope. "She left this for you," the baker said quietly, handing it to Eli. "She came in just after we opened. Didn't say much. Just asked me to make sure you got it." Eli opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a letter, longer than the others. The handwriting was neat but carried a tremble. "Dear Eli, You probably don't remember me, but I remember you even before that day at the bakery. You see, I knew your mother. A long time ago, before life pulled us in different directions. She was one of the kindest people I had ever known. And when I saw you standing there, offering to help without hesitation, I saw her in you. That same light. Life has been hard. I won't lie to you. I lost a lot. My home, my job, and someone I loved deeply. That loaf of bread you bought for me, it wasn't just food. It was a reminder that I hadn't disappeared completely, that someone still saw me, that maybe I still mattered. You gave me the courage to try again. I've started working at a local shelter. I have a room now. It's small, but it's mine. And every night I wear a star pendant just like the one I gave you because there were two. My brother and I wore them growing up. He passed away a few years ago and I kept them both until now. You don't know it yet, but you've already changed someone's future. I don't know when, but I believe we'll meet again. Maybe when you're older. Maybe when you need reminding that a single act of kindness can echo further than you'll ever know. Until then, keep being you. A friend. Eli folded the letter carefully, his hands trembling slightly. He didn't know what to do with everything he was feeling. Pride, confusion, warmth, a strange kind of longing. That night, he placed the letter in a box under his bed, next to the pendant. He didn't need to tell anyone. Not yet. But from that day on, he started noticing things, little chances to be kind. Someone sitting alone at lunch. A neighbor struggling with groceries. A teacher who looked tired after class. And without really planning it, Eli began to act. He didn't know that far away, in a modest room with peeling walls and a growing stack of volunteer schedules, a woman wearing a matching star pendant was doing the same. And neither of them knew what was waiting for them, just around the corner. Weeks passed, then months. Eli kept living his life, going to school, helping his mom with chores, and visiting the bakery every few days. The pendant became a quiet comfort, like a lighthouse he carried close to his heart. And though he didn't receive any more letters, he never stopped looking. Checking the bakery window, scanning the sidewalk, half expecting to see that woman with the tired eyes and warm smile. One Saturday morning, something different happened. The bakery was holding a small charity event. Bread for Hope, the flyer read. The idea was simple. Buy a loaf and a second would be donated to the local shelter. Eli loved it immediately. He asked the baker if he could help, and soon he was handing out samples and greeting customers with a grin that lit up the whole room. Late in the afternoon, just as the sun was dipping low and the last few loaves were sold, a woman walked in. She wasn't the woman, but there was something familiar about her. Maybe in the way she walked, or the way her eyes searched the room. She stopped at the counter, picked up a flyer, and turned to Eli. "You helped start this, didn't you?" she asked softly. Eli blinked. Sort of. "I just helped where I could." The woman smiled. "You know, there's a story going around at the shelter about a boy who paid for a loaf of bread. It's been passed around like a legend. Some of the new volunteers say it's what inspired them to show up." Eli's heart skipped. He didn't know what to say. "I didn't think it was that big of a deal." "Well," the woman said gently, "sometimes the smallest ripples make the biggest waves." She reached into her bag and pulled out a book, The Little Prince. It was old, the edges worn and soft. She handed it to Eli. Someone asked me to give this to you. She said you'd understand why. Inside the cover, in neat, careful writing, was a message. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Keep looking with your heart. A friend. There was no signature, no return address, but there, tucked inside the pages, was a photo. It was an old picture. Two children smiling in the sunlight, both wearing small star pendants around their necks. Eli stared at it, his fingers trembling. The boy in the photo looked like someone he'd seen before. Not in real life, but in a dream. Or maybe in a mirror. He turned to the woman, but she was already heading out the door. Before he could speak, she looked back and said, "She said she'll come when it's time." And just like that, she was gone. That night, Eli didn't sleep much. He sat by his window, the book on his lap, the photo by his side, and the pendant against his chest. Something was happening. He didn't know what, but he could feel it. And he was ready. A week later, as Eli was getting ready for school, his mom called out from the hallway, her voice laced with curiosity. "Eli, there's a letter for you. No return address." He rushed down the stairs, his heart already racing. The envelope was simple, off-white, slightly creased, and on the front, in soft cursive, were just 3 words, "For Eli." Inside was a hand-drawn map. No street names, just pencil lines tracing out what looked like part of a park, a bench under a tall tree, and a tiny star drawn at one particular spot. Along with it was a small note. Saturday, 4 p.m. Bring the book, and bring your heart. Eli didn't tell anyone. He didn't need to. This felt like something meant just for him. When Saturday arrived, he tucked the little prince under his arm and rode his bike to the park. The weather was soft, clouds drifting lazily above, sunlight flickering through the trees. He found the bench exactly as it had been drawn, shaded by a large maple tree. He sat quietly, holding the book close. For 01, for 05, nobody came. He began to wonder if maybe he'd misread the map, or the day, or the message itself. But then, from across the park, a woman appeared, not in a rush, not uncertain, as if she had always known he would be there. She wore a simple jacket, her hair pulled back gently, and her eyes, still tired but warm, lit up the moment she saw him. Eli stood, heart pounding. She smiled. "Hello, Ellie." He stared. He wanted to say 100 things, but only one came out. "It's you." She nodded. "It's me, and I've waited a long time to say this." She sat down and gently patted the space beside her. Eli joined her, silent, his hands clasped around the book. After a pause, she spoke. "There's a reason I left those letters. Not just because of the bread, not just because you were kind, but because you helped me remember a piece of myself I thought was gone." Eli looked at her, puzzled. "Did you really know my mom?" She nodded, her eyes glossy with emotion. "Very well. We were close once. Your mother used to say, 'A child can change the world with a single act of kindness.' I didn't really believe that, not until I saw you, standing in that bakery, doing something no one else even thought to do." A breeze passed between them, carrying the scent of damp earth and spring flowers. "You gave me a reason to try again," she said, "and now I want to give you something in return." From her coat pocket, she pulled out another envelope, this one thicker, heavier. This is the last thing I'll leave for you. But it's not an ending, Eli. It's a beginning. He took the envelope slowly, watching her eyes. Are you ready? She asked. He didn't know what he was ready for, but he nodded, because something in him, deep, quiet, and certain, said yes. Eli looked down at the envelope in his hands. It felt heavier than it should, not just in weight, but in meaning. Slowly, carefully, he opened it. Inside was a letter, and beneath the letter, a folded piece of paper that looked like a form of some kind. He unfolded the letter first and began to read. Dear Eli, you've already done more than you know, but I want to offer you something I once turned down, a chance to carry the light forward. This paper is a volunteer application to the shelter where I now work. I've spoken to the director. They'd be honored to have you visit, learn, and help if you'd like. No pressure, no expectations. Just a place where kindness grows. We never know how far a simple gesture can reach. That one loaf of bread changed my life. And now maybe you can help change someone else's. Thank you for being brave, for being open-hearted, and for reminding me of everything good still left in the world. With love, a friend. Eli looked at the form. It was real. His name was already written at the top in the same handwriting. He didn't answer right away. He just sat there for a while under the shade of the tree, holding the letter in one hand, the form in the other, and the book in his lap. Then he took a deep breath, reached into his backpack, and pulled out a pen. He signed his name. And in that quiet moment, with the afternoon light slipping through the leaves, something changed. It wasn't loud or grand, but it was real. The woman beside him smiled. Not the sad, weary smile she once wore, but something brighter, stronger. You're going to do great things, she said. Eli didn't reply. He didn't have to, because sometimes words aren't necessary. Sometimes all it takes is a small act of kindness, and a heart that chooses to follow it.